Hello and welcome to Voices of the Vic. We are back after our pre-season break. We've recharged our batteries and we're back with a brand new series. This is I think this is our fifth season now. Covering Watford. I can't believe it's been for that long. Can you?
Yeah, no, it is mad. I think I'm maybe to blame a little bit on that. I went a bit crazy with the seasons of Voices of the Vic, and because of the pandemic, it sort of split up. But yeah, this is season five, and we started in lockdown, and we're heading into another season, and hopefully, it's just like the last successful season for us on the pitch and off the pitch.
Yeah, our first another season back into the championship, and this time we
Mm.
can actually attend matches in the championship. So I think there's a bit of a buzz amongst the fan base for that because we did miss out last time, and there is good teams in this division, and it definitely will be more competitive for us this season coming ahead. But yeah, Mike, how are you doing? And thanks for joining me tonight. Saw you a few weeks ago, didn't I?
Mm. Yeah, no, we caught up at your wedding. Honestly, like I'm not just saying this, and me and Ben have spoke about this since. It was an absolutely class day. I got the privilege to be one of his groomsmen and toastmaster, so it was a good day had all round. And I woke up hungover free on both days, on the Saturday itself and the Sunday as well. So that's always good. And then I've been in Lanzarote this last week. I got back on Sunday evening. So yeah, very, very good. As you said at the top of the show, recharged our batteries. I certainly feel like I have done, and I'm just buzzing for the season to get started now. We our first game's on Sky as well, which is always good. And like you say, now we're in the Championship. I'm hoping to go more. I'm no longer manager of Alton Ravens for anyone that followed me doing that sort of thing on social media. So I'm going to definitely try and make it to more games next season. And if anyone's looked this season coming in the Championship, instead of it usually being a large cluster of teams in London, a lot of the teams are northern this year. So I'm buzzing with that. So yeah, definitely no excuses from me to not to go to more games this season.
Well, I'm glad you actually felt fine the day after the wedding, mate, and woke up with no hangover because I woke up and I was sick.
Yeah.
we was trying to clear everything out the lodge, get the little girl into the car, and my missus was like, "I need to take her. She's starting to kick off." I was like, "I'll be there 1 minute." I had to go toilet for a tactical
Yeah.
sick dinner. So yeah, but yeah,
You're
no,
allowed
unbelievable
though.
wedding.
You're allowed.
Yeah, no, and I really appreciate you being a toastmaster as well. And if anyone don't know, there was Watford themed tables at my wedding as well, wasn't there, Mike? And when we got announced back into a room as the new Mr. and Mrs. Aiton, we had Z cars as well, which was class, and it worked really well. I thought that's a classic song to come into. But yeah, we're not here about talking about my wedding, unfortunately. We are here to discuss Watford and the summer so far. It's been a busy summer so far, Mike. There's been lots of outs. There's been one in. There's another potential in coming in as well. So let's just dive straight into it. So at the moment, as of today, Tuesday, Watford have flown out to Austria for their pre-season camp. They're going to be staying out there for 6 days. But Watford have left 4 stars behind. Emmanuel Dennis, Ismail Assar, Adam Messina, and Danny Rose did not travel with the club. I've heard that from Adam Leventhal that Dennis, Sarr, and Messina are at the training ground training with the club, and Danny Rose is training on his own at a different location. So make of that what you will. I imagine that Danny Rose is in communication with the club about terminating his contract and maybe looking for him to move elsewhere. Messina, I think that's on the card saying that he's got a potential move lined up. There's rumours of going back to Italy. Udinese is another possible destination. And then we all know about Emmanuel Dennis and Ismail Assar, what they're hoping for an offer to come in. There's been nothing yet, but fingers crossed something comes in soon. But one guy who will be travelling out to Austria as well is Yasser Espria. Watford signed him from a Colombian side in January, December time last year, and then it got made official a few months back when he actually turned 18. So he will be linking up with his new teammates for the first time. But also travelling out there, Mike, is a Watford's first signing off the summer. It's Bakun Bayo. We've signed him from a Belgium side on a 5-year contract after an exciting spell in the Belgium's top flight, where he scored 11 goals in 16 games, and the fee's been reported for £5 million. Bayo scored 45 non-penalty goals since 18-19 season. 19 of them is with his head, so you kind of know what he's going to bring to the team. And that last stat was from Lou Orns, who continues to bring out these amazing stats. So nice one, Lou Orns. Mike, what's your first thoughts on the signing of Vacuum Bayo?
Yeah, I can't sit here and confidently say that I know who he was or have heard of him before. I did a little bit of research, noticed he'd played for Celtic, but like you say, we were just chatting before we went live, and if you look at his stats and who he's played for previously, he tends to play at this sort of level, a second tier level. And to be fair to him, he generally tends to get goals. Other than Celtic, he's generally got goals wherever he's been. Like, we signed him from Charleroi, if that's how you pronounce it, as you said, 16 games, 11 goals. He was at Toulouse in 2021 season, 10 goals that season for Toulouse in 30 games. And he was at a Slovakian team, Dun Streda, again, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, in 17-18 and 18-19, and he scored 14 goals in a total of 25 games. So, he like I say, he generally tends to play his trade at sort of a lower tier of football, and the second tier of football could be perfect for him to slot into in England. As we know, coming over to England is such a big thing, whether you're coming in at the Premier League, Championship. It's a lot more physical. You don't get as much time on the ball in the Championship, so he's going to have to hit the ground running. And a lot of people were negative about this signing, saying, why are we wasting €5 million or however much it was on him? But let's just give him a chance. He's scored goals where he's been, and I'm looking forward to it. As Ant said, we can't generally get past the first man at a corner, so hopefully we got someone that can do well on set pieces, and we can exploit how good he is in the air and scoring with his head as well.
Yeah, I've seen a few people joke about that when we announced the signing. Then they actually asked him what kind of striker he was on for Watford YouTube channel, and he said that he likes to use his head and that. And everyone was saying, well, that's no good to us because we can't get the ball off the floor. So, but hopefully things will change under Rob Edwards. And his teams in the past, like at Forest Green, he does like to cross the ball into a box. So we will be seeing that a lot more this season. So, and obviously Rob Edwards came in. He's told the board what kind of players he wants. They've gone and given him maybe a short list of players, saying we can get these players available. Do you want to have a look at these? And he's obviously said, yeah, Bayo looks the right fit. He fits my mold. He's big. He can hold the ball up. He can head the ball in the back of the net. So maybe that's going to work out for us in the Championship next season. But like you say, Mike, he did struggle at Celtic. He didn't score any goals there, and the Celtic fans did call him a bit of a flop. And I think he got 2 own goals in one game for him as well. I think I've seen that. So he did score own goals for him, but since he's moved away from Celtic, it looks like he really found himself at Toulouse and then the Belgium club as well. So 21 goals in 2-3 seasons isn't a bad return for a striker. So hopefully he can hit the floor running at Watford. I think he's an Ivory Coast international as well, so he will know Hassan Kamara as well, which will probably help him settle in at the club. But yeah, I think obviously there's lots of people unhappy because he's a Mogi Bayat player, which is going to upset a few people. But at the moment, I don't think Watford can bring in many players until we can get other players off our wage bill and make a bit of money. So I think the only players available that could maybe possibly bring in at the moment are these players that are being offered. And we've got to remember that he gets a lot of stick, Mogi Bayat, and I agree to a point, but he has brought in good players for Watford. He brought in Emmanuel Dennis. He was part of the Ismail Assar deal. Hassan Kamara. Yes, there's been flops, but he's also found gems. And maybe Vacuum Bayo could be possibly another gem that he's found to bring into Watford. But yeah, that's one player through the door. He's over in Austria at the moment. He actually played in Watford's friendly at the weekend. He started. He did 45 minutes. But there's a rumoured signing coming in from Barcelona, Mike. It sounds more exciting than it possibly maybe is. When you say a signing from Barcelona, and our last signing from Barcelona was Gerard Deulofeu, and we all know how well he did at Watford. But this time it's an Albanian. He's already landed in England. He landed at Heathrow earlier on today, and he's continuing talks with the clubs. And it's I'm going to butcher this name, Mike. You and me tried to have a go at this before we went on air, and we're not quite sure how to pronounce it. But it's Ray Manja. He's a 25-year-old Albanian international. He scored 5 goals in 30 appearances on loan at a Serie A club last season. He's been. There was an interview, a report came out in Spanish media yesterday, and supposedly he came out and said he's excited to be joining a team with real hopes of returning to the Premier League this year. Supposedly Watford could be signing him on a free transfer from Barcelona, but Barcelona will be inserting a 20% sell-on fee. Again, Mike, you probably don't know much about him. I certainly don't know much about him, but if you do have any thoughts on it, what are they?
We spoke before coming on air, Ben. I think it's a low-risk signing. It's on a free. I can't imagine his wages will be ridiculously high. It has that glitz and glamour attached to it. We're signing a player from Barcelona. He's never actually made a first-team appearance for Barcelona, to my recollection. He's made more for Barcelona B. You know, as you say, he had a loan spell last season in Italy for Spezia, I think it is. Someone out there will probably tell me I pronounced that wrong. But 5 goals in 30 games, I can't really comment on it too much because I've not seen them play. I don't know the style of football they play. They might not have suited to him. But, 11 games, 12 goals for Barcelona B. I think they're Spanish third tier, Barcelona B. And generally tends to chip in with the odd goal here and there. Also had a spell at Granada. Made 4 first-team appearances for Inter Milan back in 2015-16 season as well. So, he's got quite a decorated CV for a young man already. And I think a lot of people who, again, are very disgruntled at this signing have to remember that I don't know if these are going to be playing as many minutes as people are expecting. I'd be very surprised if we open the Championship season at home to Sheffield United with this chap up from Raja, I think it is. Is it? I can't even pronounce his name. But the chap from Barcelona up front with Bio. I'd be very surprised if they were the front two going into that game. A player who I'm sure you've got listed down on there to speak about, Ben, is Johnson Clark-Harris. He's the type that I think we should be going after. And, you can rotate the strikers. A lot of people seem to forget it's a 46-game season. So, it's Saturday, Tuesday. It's relentless. So we are going to have to chop and change. And, we've had strikers in the teams before where we've signed them and people have thought, oh, what a naff signing. They've turned out to be all right, chipping in here and there. Paritza was the last one I can think of. If it wasn't for injuries and him being frozen out for whatever reason, I think he would have done really well. So,
best striker of the club, Mike?
Yeah, Christ. I've still got that clip somewhere. That might have to resurface. But no, in all seriousness, I think let's not judge it too harshly yet. And like I say, low risk, free transfer, and I'm sure we'll be on low wages as well. So I'll be backing any player that comes through the door. And I think a few people need to realise that we don't perhaps have all this money. You summed it up perfectly, Ben. I think the bigger spending will come once Sarr and Dennis are off the books.
Yeah, well, we was talking before we came on air, and I said to you about the players that we have brought in, and maybe I'm surprised that we haven't gone into the English market at the moment, but the English market is an expensive market to go into. So maybe Watford do have targets in that, and they're waiting to make their moves for that. But unfortunately, they're waiting to get rid of people like Sarr, like Dennis, who are going to bring money into the club, so then we can afford to make these moves. I do think we're going to add to our front line still. I don't think these 2 players will be it for up front now. Like you say, we've been linked with Clark-Harris of Peterborough United, who got 12 goals in the Championship last year. We've been linked with numerous other strikers from English sides as well. Cameron Archer being one of them at Aston Villa, who's having a pre-season under Steven Gerrard at the moment. He's assessing him before he makes a decision on whether to keep him in the Aston Villa first team squad or send him out on loan. And I've heard that if he is to get sent out on loan, he'll probably come likely to us. I think Adam Leventhal said that. I think his relationship with Rob Edwards would be pretty key to getting that deal done, but it's all up to whether Gerrard wants to keep him or not. Davis as well, who was on loan at Forest last season, he's another rumoured number 9 striker. So I do think we will dip into that market. It's just a matter of time and biding our time with it. But wasn't it last week, and Mike, that Rob Edwards, he had an interview with Watford Observer, and he actually said he would rather be patient and bring in the exact players that he wants instead of rushing it and not getting the right players. And that's the way to do it, isn't it? I know a lot of people was impatient, waiting for that first signing. We heard about Bio signing for Watford. There was no announcement for about 4 or 5 days. People were like, make a signing. But it's crucial Watford get it right.
And the reason being is the last few seasons, as everyone has pointed out, there's been the transfers or the lack of, or the type of transfers that we've had, that we've not utilised the transfer market well enough. And we've been poor with our signings. Yet now people are like, we want signings now. Like, you either want to wait and we'll get the right players, as you said, Rob Edwards, more than happy to wait, assess what he's got at the moment, and then he'll be able to see. Let's not forget, he's new into it. He's still looking at who he thinks, he might have a part to play next season. We've played one pre-season game, which effectively it was just to get some minutes in the legs. We've got our next pre-season game on Sunday. I think we got Panathinaikos, and then we've got a load of other pre-season games. So we're only one pre-season game into it. Yes, other teams are doing their business early. That's not a problem. But you generally look at those teams and their staff have been in the role longer than Rob Edwards has. You know, I've noticed, let's say West Brom, for example, they brought in Jed Wallace and John Swift, 2 players which I would have loved at Watford. But Brucey's been there a long time, a longer time than Rob Edwards. He's had time to look at his team and think, okay, this is who we need. This is Rob Edwards could be looking at that team and like the Potters might be saying, well, we think that based on previous seasons, you might want to look in this department. And then he's looking at that team and he's thinking, well, actually, no, I think this player is good enough and we've got relevant backup. So people need to be patient to ensure that we have the best transfer market we can possibly have. Everything at the moment with Watford, especially with the last 2 Elton John concerts, everything with Watford at the moment just seems more positive. There's more communication within the club. There's obviously Elton John's just done 2 amazing shows, which I'm sure you'll talk about at some stage on the pod, because I know you went on Sunday. So, you know, he said some really encouraging words as well. Like I say, the communication's better. Rob Edwards is a breath of fresh air. Whatever interview you watch with him, whether it's the WD18 lads that did one, listen to the From the Rookery ends, and it just seems like we're slowly but surely getting our Watford back. Luther Blissett's been named. This might be a bit disrespectful from me because I can't remember exactly what he's been named, but he's been put on something within the club. So apologies for not remembering.
He's been requested to go on. I don't know whether he's accepted it or not, but he's been put forward for honorary life president. It's whether he wants to accept the role or not, because there's lots of politics in the background, isn't there? Yeah.
So everything at the moment is getting better. So, you know, people just need to chill out a bit, and I'm sure Rob Edwards has got it under control.
It's a step in the right direction so far for me, communication-wise. We've said about it for weeks before the end of the season, saying communication was poor, it needs to improve. And since that fans forum, yes, it wasn't done in the right way. They threw all those supporters groups and social media channels under a bus because they didn't announce it straight away after the meeting, and then they put out little bits and pieces which upset the people who attended the meeting. But since then, I think they've learnt from their mistakes on communication. It's been spot on since. Scott Duxbury's done a really long interview with the Watford Observer, Andrew French, which was absolutely outstanding, really good read. Loads of articles. And then Gino Pozzos came out and put out a few words on Watford website after 10 years of owning the club. I think Watford fans needed that. I know some fans weren't happy and they wanted more from him. People saying he didn't write that, it was his secretary. Look, at the end of the day, he popped out a statement, which I'm happy about. So we've heard from Gino. Yes, it was small. We've heard from Scott. He's gone into depth with things. Everything's going in the right direction, and Rob Edwards is talking a lot to the media, and for communication from Rob Edwards and the connection with him and the club is just so much clearer than Claudio Ranieri, Roy Hodgson. And it's what Watford fans deserve, to have a manager like that. And it does remind you of the times of when we've had other managers like a Graham Taylor, and it just brings it all back. And like you say, Mike, with the Elton John concert as well, Elton John, I'm going to quote Elton John now, he's saying that you need to back the manager, you need to back Rob Edwards. And I think that's a message not just to the boards but to the fans as well. You need to give him time. And then he basically said he was unhappy with the lack of passion shown from the Watford players last year. They showed no fucking passion, which was probably to those words from Elton John. But and then I've seen today that Elton John, I don't know if you've seen this, Mike, but he said that after the last 2 nights that he's played at Vicarage Road, he's realised how much he's missed this place. Sitting there playing on the piano, overlooking his stand, which is sitting opposite to Graham Taylor's stand, his dear friend that he misses so dearly. And he said that after everything's all done with the tour, he wants to be connected with Watford Club again, and he wants to be involved. I don't know what that means. Maybe he might want to invest in the club, have more say in the club. It'll be interesting to see what actually happens. But yeah, I think it's exciting times ahead for Watford at the moment. Let's give the board time to get in the right players for Rob Edwards. And I imagine Rob Edwards will build a decent squad for us to compete next season. I don't know whether we'll bounce up straight away, but I definitely think it will be a team that will show more passion, which like Elton John's asked for, and it will be a team that will compete. Hopefully it'll be in and around the playoffs, or hopefully secure a playoffs, and then we could maybe try to get that promotion. But I don't think we're ready just yet for that. But Mike, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, off the back of what you were saying there, obviously I want us to go back up. I want my team to be in the best league in the world, in the Premier League. But at the end of the day, if we know that we're going to get a team that's going to show a lot more passion than we've seen recently, then I'm all for it. One example which always sticks in my mind, now whether they were trying to work it out this way or whether it just panned out this way, I don't know. But Aston Villa, the season they come down, in 2015-16 season, they appointed, I think it was Roberto Di Matteo, and they were getting all these big name players, and they had a dreadful season in the Championship. I think they finished mid-table, and I think one of the seasons they got to the playoffs, but then lost in the playoff final to Fulham. I think it might have been that season actually. They were lingering in mid-table. And then I can't remember who it was in charge of them, got them to the playoff final. They lost to Fulham, and then they come back up the next season. But if I know that my team are going to be showing a lot more passion, I don't mind if we stay in the Championship, whether we finish sort of mid-table, lingering in and around the playoffs. I'll be honest, I'd be gutted if we did lose in the playoffs, because I still stand by it. The playoffs are the best thing in the world. As long as your team aren't in them, they're the best thing in the world to watch. But as long as I know that we're going to get a lot of fight and a lot more attacking, free-flowing football, I don't mind if we stay in this division and then make a real fist of it next season, because it's worked for Aston Villa. You know, they went down, like I say, lost in the playoff final and then bounced up the next season. And now look at them, you know, they're targeting European football, and they've got an England legend as a football manager, and they're really going places with the players that they're signing. So I really don't mind if we do stay down. Obviously, I want us to go up, but sometimes the best thing it might just be to stay in the division, get the deadwood out, bring through the younger players, give the younger players minutes, and then let's really hit it the next season. But who knows?
Yeah.
We might just hit it from day dot this season and go straight back up. But who knows?
Yeah, well, we've started to clear out some of that deadwood, which you've mentioned. We'll go through the list of the departures, and then we'll just briefly stop on a couple of them, or come back to a couple of them. So Kufa Hernandez was the first one out the door. Took a lot of Watford fans by surprise with where he's ended up. I think more so than him leaving. I think there was always possibility of him leaving, but for where he's ended up going to America to play in the MLS. He's joined Columbus Crew for £8.6 million. There's add-ons to go on top of that as well if he hits a certain amount of appearances, or if they win stuff. So what will get more money from that. Philip Zinken was the second one out the door. He joined Olympiacos for £1.7 million. It's a low fee. We all know that. He was on a long contract, so I think that's very surprising. Not that he left the low fee, but there's also add-on clauses on that as well. So Watford will probably get a bit more money out of that. But it'd be interesting to see what happens with Philip Zinken, because their owners at Olympiacos are the same owners at Nottingham Forest, where he stayed on loan last season. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a late loan move to Forest for him to be in the Premier League next season. Who knows? Depends on who they bring in and that. Nicholas Nkulu was released by Watford. He ended his contract. Same with Andre Gray. Ben Foster also. Joshua King had a relegation release clause, and he and Watford agreed to terminate his contract. Same with Elliott. He's also had his contract terminated. There's talks that he's maybe possibly looking to retire. Musa Sissoko has left Watford and joined Nantes for a reported fee of £1.8 million. And then we've also had a guy that no one's ever heard of. He's joined a Real Racing Club on loan. He's Jurgen Elliott. I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
We've had him for a few years, We've
had him for about 4 or 5 years. He's similar to what's happened with Luis Suarez and Esteban, where he was sent out on loan for 4 or 5 seasons, and then they basically see if they're good enough to then maybe bring him back to Watford. But supposedly he's at Real Racing Club now, and they have an option to buy at the end of the season. So he's a player that we'll probably never ever see. But Mike, out of those departees, who's the one you're most disappointed that's left Watford?
Most disappointed with as a player with his time at Watford has got to be Josh King. Now, I know that's not the question you asked me, but I just wanted to bring it up. He put a tweet out, and to be honest, I think it was a load of bollocks, really. His agents definitely said, look, mate, you should say something on Twitter to the fans. He said, there's been good moments and bad moments, and in the end, we ended up sad. It was really poorly worded as well. And I'm thinking, good moments? We had those with you. Like, he scored a hat-trick against Everton, fair play. He did what Troy Deeney did a lot of the time towards the end of his career. He'd turn up against the games where he really wanted it, against Villa, Bournemouth. He had an incredible scoring record against Bournemouth. A lot of people overlook that. And effectively, that's what Josh King did against his former employees. He really wanted to stick it to him. But other than that, he really disappointed me. I genuinely thought, and there'll be people that remember me saying this to them. I thought he could get double figures for us last season and could be one of the players to keep us up, or be a big hand in keeping us up. And he was just a massive flop. In terms of who I'm disappointed that's left, I don't think out of any of them that you've reeled off, I'm going to really miss, to be honest. Since the Foster stuff come out, I think I talked about Ben Foster on our last episode, and I was, backing him up and everything. And I got a bit of stick off one of our lads, Jacob, and we were chatting about it at the wedding. And they've since asked for my views on it again. And you know, it's not great if the club asked him to stop, but he continued. That is a bit shitty from Foz. But it still won't change my mind that he was a good servant for the club, and he made some brilliant saves and put in some brilliant performances. But I was really disappointed to hear that he'd gone against the club's wishes. So, I don't think there's anyone that I'm going to particularly miss in terms of footballing ability, because I think they're the players we needed to get out. So yeah, it's who you'd expect to go has gone basically. And Kulu was brilliant for that game against Arsenal, so he'll be missed purely on that one game. But in all seriousness, no, I don't think there is.
The only one I'm maybe a bit upset about leaving was Kufa Hernandez. He was a bit part player last season. He got 5 goals in his debut season in the Premier League. So for me, he's someone I would have liked to see in the Championship a full season. Easily should have got double figures in that league. We've seen him perform really well in other leagues in lower divisions. So I would have wanted to see him go, but I understand that Watford accepted an offer that they just couldn't refuse. We signed him for £200,000 back about 5 years ago, and to make a massive profit on him, like £8.4 million on someone that you've signed and hope will be decent, it's worked, hasn't it, Mike?
It has, and I'm going to go back on what I've just said, where I said there isn't anyone in that list. I completely forgot you mentioned Chucho, and I completely forgot that he'd gone. Purely because I think he would have been an absolute beast in the Championship. I think he would have really teared it up if he kept his head straight, and he would have been a real Troy Deeney-esque type player in the early days when Troy was a real bully, athletic and strong and physical. I think Chucho Hernandez would have been just that in the Championship. I also think this is a very, very, very clever move from Chucho himself. Obviously, as you say, Watford had to. It'd be stupid for Watford not to accept the bid because of how much we spent on him, how much Columbus Crew were offering. We know that the Potsos model is to bring in players young and bring in players cheap, build them up, and then sell them on for large profits, like we did with Richarlison, for example. Now, I think it's a genius move by Chucho and his team, effectively behind the scenes, because Chucho realistically should be going over there and absolutely ripping up the MLS. So that will put him in the window massively. I would not be surprised, and people can come back to me on this clip and they can laugh. I can be a Twitter meme. I don't mind. The publicity will be great, but he will. I think he will be at a top club in Europe in the next few seasons, providing he rips it up in the MLS, because people will look at him and think this guy's incredible. He's still young, and everyone loves the South American wonder kid as well. So I really do think, providing he rips it up, and that's why I'm repeating it so much, because I don't want anyone taking this out of context. Providing he rips it up, he will be at a top European club in the next few years. I think it's a genius move for Chucho Hernandez, and a genius move from the Potsos as well. We've got that money in, as you say. We only spent 200 grand on him, so best of luck to him. Shame he's not staying on, but I think it's a good move for both parties.
Yeah, definitely, and Harrison agrees as well. Cucho's a big miss. However, the money we got was a no-brainer, and me and Mike agree with you that it's a massive profit that Watford have made out of him. Russ Putnam have said, I thought King would have been key last season. I think we all think he was key, just like Mike thought he would probably get double figures. But that's about all the departures that's happened at Watford so far. There will probably be a lot more departures, and they're all probably going to be non-homegrown players out the door, because the EFL have introduced a rule that you can name no more than 11 non-homegrown players on a match day team sheet. They have increased the match day squad now, Mike, haven't they, up to is it 18, or you can have 5 substitutions in the Championship next season. So that'll be interesting to see how that works out for teams next season. And I imagine teams like Watford with a bigger squad, it'll probably benefit us more than the likes of a team like Rotherham, who don't have as much squad depth. So it'd be interesting to see how that works out next season. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more non-homegrown players disappear. But when we're on the subject of making money out of things like we did with Kufa Hernandez, Mike, we got a lovely £2 million money from Everton Football Club, didn't we, during the week? Because they sold Richarlison to Spurs, who's just become Spurs' new number 9. I saw the shirt released today. The number 9 shirt has been given at White Hart Lane. So yeah, £2 million for Richarlison. Happy with that, Mike?
Absolutely. I think Tottenham are crazy spending that money on Richarlison. Everton fans can come at me, Spurs fans can come at me, even Watford fans might want to come at me here. Mark my words, João Pedro, providing he gets the right path in football, will be a better player than Richarlison will be. I'm telling you now. I've seen more talent in João Pedro and more promise than I saw when we had Richarlison. I'm telling you now. The only reason I'm comparing those two is because obviously we got them from Fluminense, the same team. Otherwise, I won't bother sort of comparing them. But João Pedro will be a better footballer than Richarlison will be. I don't know where he's going to fit in at Tottenham. I know this isn't a Tottenham podcast or an Everton podcast or anything like that, but I don't know where he's going to fit in. Spurs have spent silly money on him. We've got a few quid out in the bank as well. Happy days. And I think as well, I've read somewhere a rumour that Tottenham are also interested in Pervis Estupiñán, if I pronounce that correctly.
Supposedly there's no. I don't think there was a sell-on clause inserted. No, because we actually got a really good figure out of it, so we didn't insert a sell-on clause, unfortunately. But yeah, I have seen those links that he could end up going there as well. It's quite interesting that everyone that we scout, well, 2 people is going to end up at Spurs. But yeah, Harrison said it again, don't worry, Mike, I'll stand with you on that. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. And that's going off what you've said about Richarlison. I can't stand the guy. Like,
he's a twat, mate. He's a twat.
Yeah, the way he rolls around on a football field, and like, I wouldn't mind if he's rolling around because he's actually been kicked, but he's just rolling around for the sake of it, and he's just drama, isn't he? I've seen today he's got a 1-match ban for throwing that flare back into the crowd as well, and £25,000 fine. It's just stupid, isn't he? But yeah, that's enough of Richarlison. I agree with you. I think he's definitely got more potential than João Pedro, and I'm glad we've actually got a decent head coach now that can actually help João Pedro, because Claudio Ranieri and Roger Hodgson wasn't helping his development as a footballer, where Rob Edwards will. So it'll be good to see how he flourishes under him this season. Mike, we popped out a tweet during the week about wanting some questions from people on Instagram and on Twitter. We've got 4 questions coming, so we're just going to run through them quickly. And I've just seen Harrison's popped in a question as well, so I'll come back to that in a sec, Harrison. First one is from Paul White on Instagram. How many positions, Mike, do you think we need to fill for the new season?
Personally, I think we're talking starting 11, I'd like another centre back. I think it's looking like so far that Samir is going to stay, and I think he'll do very well in the second tier of English football. But I'm not sure that Pollock will be given the chance. Providing that they're happy to give Pollock the chance, I'm more than happy for him to play. But I don't know whether he's got a full season in him in terms of, quality-wise. He might need to be a bit part player. I would get in another centre-back because I think relying on Kabasele and Craig Cathcart, I love Cathcart. I think he's been a brilliant servant for the club. We can't be relying on him. It'll be good to have around in the changing room and the dressing room, and etc. But I would bring in another centre back. Right,
you know what? I think he's going to be used quite heavily this season as well because his connection with Rob Edwards. They
played together, didn't they? At Blackpool?
Yeah, I fear that he's going to probably be, especially if we play 3 at the back. I think he's going to be the main one there, and then maybe you might have younger people either side of him. But I think we're going to see a lot of Craig Cathcart this season. Sorry, mate, to cut you up.
No. You make a solid point, mate. Obviously, that connection they have might bump him up the order a little bit, but who knows? So I would have another right-sided centre back. I would probably have I'd probably go for another midfielder. I don't know how long. I think Losers picked. Did he have surgery? So I don't know if he's still carrying a knock or whatnot. Whether he'll be fit for the first game of the season, I don't know. I would go for a midfielder just to add to the ranks. Gosling and Cleverley, I'm more than happy for them to play a part. If they're to be rotated between them, I don't know. I believe Gosling has played with Edwards as well. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
sure
I
I read
saw that.
something.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I
I'm sure
saw
I
that.
read something somewhere. But yeah, if them two are rotated between the two, that's fine. Again, good players to have experience. We know from being in the championship before that we need a players in that team that have done it in that league before. And Gosling proved last time that he was a perfect signing for that. Cleverly proved last time that he had the legs for it. He probably doesn't have the legs for it now. In fact, no, he doesn't have the legs for it now. So he can't be playing a full season. So I'd go another midfielder, and then the obvious one, a striker. Johnson Clark Harris for me. I think we have to go and get him. I was in the sort of area of Perot. I was happy that we were linked with him, and I was really looking forward to hopefully reading that we were close to getting him. Until I read that Swansea wanted £15 million. We're not going to pay that money for him. I'm glad that we're not as well. Luka Zhao as well. If the rumours are true and Reading are willing to let him go for £2 million, snap him up. Forest are sniffing around as well. Obviously, the lure of the Premier League is probably going to be a stronger proposition than playing in the same league, but for a different team. But yeah, Luka Zhao, Johnson Clark Harris. I think we need a striker, an English striker, who's done it in the Championship. So I would say three. Long answer, I know, but three positions.
You do love your long answers, mate. I'm trying to speed this up.
Yeah, apologies.
Try and keep them a bit shorter on the other questions, mate. Who do you think should be our centre-back partnership / trio this season? This is from Connor on Instagram. He would like to see a pairing of Sierralta and Pollock.
Well, if we play three at the back, Samir, Pollock and Sierralta. And then I would rotate one of them with Cathcart.
I don't mind who it is as long as I see Pollock next season. I really want to see a lot of him next season. Like if there's a free, I think he could work really well in a free. It would be interesting to see if Samir sticks around as well. Have you seen that? There's obviously rumours that he may go back to Indonesia. I don't know whether it's true or not, but if he does, we need to bring in another left-sided centre back, don't we, to replace him, because he's the only left-sided centre back we got, isn't he, Samir?
I think so. Yeah, I think Pollock's right-footed. So yeah, I think he is.
Question from George White on Twitter now. Would you take the playoffs if it was offered to you right now, Mike?
I assume he means going up, or if he means just placing in the playoffs, then yes, I would.
Yeah, no, same. I think I'm not too sure what to make of next season. I don't know where we're going to stand at the moment with this squad. I don't think we'll make the playoffs. I think we need a couple of big signings. Not to say that we're going to spend a lot of money, but like to make a statement. And we need, like we've said, we need the right players in the right areas. And I think once we got those in, we could hit the playoffs. And then last one from Big Man on Twitter. His also name is Pragmatic. He has said, is Vacuum Bio capable of scoring 20 goals or thereabouts, even if he is fit all season? He doesn't intimidate me like Timu Puki or Joel Peru, who has been linked with us. Do you reckon he could hit 20 goals? It's a big ask for his first season in English football, isn't it?
It is, but players have done it before in their first season in English football, and players have come over and absolutely hit the ground running. I think was it not Perot's first season in English football? He signed from PSV reserves or PSV itself.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Didn't they get him for like $1 million as well? So they've done really well because he's hit the ground running, hasn't he? I know you said you didn't want to spend 15 million on him, but how much would you put on him?
I don't know the English. I know he's not English, but the English market's crazy nowadays. So, if we could get him for 5 million, I don't think the Pozzos would spend double figures on him. So even going up to 10 million, I just don't see it happening. I can't remember the last time who our biggest signing was in terms of transfer fee. I can't remember, but I just couldn't see the Pozzos spending that money in the
Where
English
in the
market.
Championship or as an all?
As an all time, was it Pereira was the last one, was it? Or
we got Ismail Assar, didn't we, for about 30 odd, and then Andre Gray, 18, Pereira, Isaac for sex, your favourite, Mr. Jack Daniels, was it?
Bailey's, wasn't it?
Bailey's, Mr. Bailey's, yeah. He actually did really well Indonesia last season, didn't he?
They called him Mr. Assist in one of their
Mr.
recent Instagram posts, which was quite funny.
I saw that. It did make me chuckle.
But yeah, I look. Do I know if he's going to score 20 goals? If I knew that, then I'd stick a load of money on it and I'd be a time traveller. But I'm going to back him. That's all I can do, and all we can do as Watford fans. I don't think that. I think people need to. Hopefully, this isn't going to be the guy that we're pinning our promotion hopes on. I would be very, very surprised if we just left it at this, and this Albanian guy coming in as well. I would be very surprised if we left it at that. So, do I think he's capable of 20 goals? Anyone's capable of anything if they put their heart to it. So I don't know. Is the answer to
that? I know the answer to the next one probably. It's not the questions. It's like the next little topic to go on. New home shirt, Mike. Bet you love it.
Yeah, I do like it. Really, really like it. I think it's plain and simple. And yeah, it's. I'm not sure I was a fan of the yellow and black stripe from last season, whereas this it's just a clean, completely, simple kit. And I love the third kit that Elton brought out as well. It reminds me of the season we went up on the Jukanovic. We had black and white that season, but I noticed this one's got like
collar and button. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of those sort of kits. We had them under Mazzari last. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the kit. Hopefully going to get it in the next couple of weeks. My old man's getting it for me as a late birthday present. So yeah.
I was going to say, I bet you pre-ordered it already, but yeah, you get it a bit later on from your old man, don't you? So
I do indeed.
Yeah, I'm waiting until they actually come out in the shop so then I can go over and size myself up, because I've seen it on players and it looks quite tight and I don't want to order the wrong size. So I'll probably go over at the weekend or weekend after to get it and to get my little girl's one as well. She's turning 2 in September, so I have to get her name and number on the back of that as well. But yeah, absolutely love it. And that third kit just it looks really smart and I just love it. It reminds me of like a Juventus shirt. Just looking at it, I don't know if that's just because of the black and whites and that's what they're playing, but I look at that and it's like, Juve playing that kind of colours. We're going to have success this season.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with the 1922 season. I think I've read somewhere that it's inspired from that. I read some.
100 years at the Vic.
Yeah, I read somewhere that someone on Twitter said it's to commemorate the last time we won a game we were wearing black and white. That did make me laugh. But big fan of it. I'll be getting that. Really like the goalkeeper kit as well, the grey one. I'm sure there'll be another one which is green or blue or whatever. But the grey one, again, nice and simple. I think just on the topic of kits, although ours are really good, I think the winner of the best kit this season for me has got to be Norwich. Theirs is brilliant. So, yeah, I'll be telling the Norwich podcast that we usually speak to as well and getting their thoughts on it. But yeah, I think theirs just about peeps us at the post.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to speaking to all the opposition podcasts that we first met in the Championship a couple of years ago. It'd be good to get some of them back on, and they'll be getting us back on as well. So I'm looking forward to sorting that out. Be interesting to see how everyone's doing. It's a shame that we're not going to be in the same league as Derby, because those lads were absolutely top draw. But I do follow their progress as well. So
Yeah,
I'm glad they've been saved as well. Derby
Mm.
County have been bought out, so fantastic news, and they're making signings, and hopefully they'll return to a championship quite soon. Because I've got a soft spot for Derby after the connection that we made with their podcasts over there. So I do like Derby, but a championship club now, Mike. Reading have announced today that they wrote to up the other 23 clubs in the division about wanting to do £20 away tickets for next season. 3 clubs have confirmed so far. So what they want to do is Reading would charge their away fans £20, but in return they want the opposition fans to do it for their fans when they travel up to them. So I think this is an absolutely fantastic idea, and this should be across all the leagues. Should be League One, League Two, Championship, Premier League. We've heard it before. 20's plenty. You need to keep the cost down, especially with now the cost of living's through the roof. Like, it's just a joke. Like petrol, it's like you're not driving like yet, so you haven't got this headache. But a full tank of petrol the other day for me, and it was like touching 90 quid. I was like, fucking hell, that's like it's like doubled in like a couple of years. I remember during the start of the pandemic, I went down to Sainsbury's and I saw it was like £1 a litre because there was no one buying fuel back then because you weren't going out. Now it's like £1.90 odd. It's like fucking hell. But that's my little speech. I'm turning into Martin Lewis now. Sorry. Fantastic news from Reading, and hopefully Watford get on board, Mike.
Yeah, I really hope so. As you say, with everything that's going on at the moment, the cost of living going up, £20. What's it to these football clubs? Like gate receipts, you're charging 20 quid a season, a game, sorry, and you're still making money back. The Premier League teams subsidise it at 30 quid a ticket. So why can't the lower leagues go lower than that? It's really, really baffling that teams haven't done this already. And like you say, I really hope that Watford do get back to them. Maybe it's gone in the junk folder of Mr. Pozzo's emails and he's just not seen it yet. I don't know. But it's brilliant and something we should do. I think we've done something similar before, Watford have, with a team. Like they've said.
We've done it. I want to say we've done it with at least 1 or 2 where we agreed it with each other, and for the season it was sustained. It might have been Reading.
Yeah. So I'd be more than happy, because you could easily spend. I mean, I haven't been to football games regularly since the season where me and you went a lot, the season under Sanino and the promotion season. And even then, like for me personally, I could easily spend 100 quid on a game of football. You're looking 30 odd quid for your ticket. You're looking 20 odd quid train return. You've got your food and drink on top of that. And you could be, like I say, could easily be spending 100 quid just on a game of football. So if more teams can get behind this and we can lower the cost of football, these clubs surely aren't going to see a difference, a too big a difference, I should say. So fair play to Reading and congratulations to well. I'd say congratulations because I read a comment in the bottom corner and my head's on my arse there. But fair play to them and hopefully we follow suit.
Definitely. We've just got a comment from Matthew Wilson. He says, "Hi guys, great work, loving the show. I've arrived a bit late. Apologies if you've already discussed the goalkeeping situation. We haven't yet. This is why I'm bringing it up now, Matthew. So good timing. But what do you think of Okoye first choice, Batman stay or to go with Elliott gone? Who's third choice? Okoye's got to be number one with the money you spent on him, surely, Mike."
Yeah, I think Okoye will be number one. I do think Backman will go. I don't know if Man United. I've read somewhere that Man United couldn't meet our valuation. That's either Man United being incredibly tight or us asking for way too much money. It's no secret then that Ten Hag wanted Daniel Backman at Ajax as well. So that's where the link has come from for any Man U fans that were really confused as to why they were.
Did you see that Daniel Backman is classed as homegrown as well because he came through the Stoke Academy? That's why I don't think Watford really wanted to sell him as well, because we're trying to hold on to these homegrown players, aren't we? And Daniel Backman's classed as one of them. So I think that's another factor in why Watford maybe put a couple more millions on his price tag.
Well, I'm sure I read somewhere that Watford are going to be in the market, providing if Bachmann was to go, well, I suppose if Bachmann was to go, then yes, we would. But I think I read somewhere that regardless that we're in the market for a homegrown goalkeeper. Rob Elliott's gone. If Bachmann stays, of course, he'll be number 2. Pontus Dahlberg, I was so excited for the guy, but two loan spells, which have both sort of culminated in both teams being relegated from League One. He was at Doncaster. They went down. He got dropped at Donny. Then he went to Gillingham, got dropped there, and they went down. So, whether he's just finding English football hard to accustom to, I don't know. I don't think he's going to have a future at the club. Hopefully, he has a better loan spell this time round. I believe he's gone out to Austria with the team. Why wouldn't he? I'd imagine the club are looking for relevant suitors for him. But he won't be third choice. I think that the club will get in a young third choice goalkeeper, or they could go with that Vincent Angelini. I don't know how to pronounce it.
He's been in and around the first team for a while, hasn't he? He's been travelling with the squad, and obviously he's over in Austria now. So I don't know if he'll be classed as homegrown, because I also saw a rule that homegrown is only England, not Scotland, Wales, or Northern Ireland. So he's classed as a non-homegrown.
He's non-homegrown, but he is under 21.
So you don't need to register. Okay, gotcha. You say he doesn't come into effect for that just yet.
I don't believe so, no.
So we'll have to read up on our stuff, won't we?
You'd think we'd do it before the pod, but hey ho.
No, we do it mid. Let's just pause the show. We'll read up on this stats and we'll come back to you. Go get a cup of tea, lad. But yeah, also quickly, I just want to comment to B. I'm not too sure what your whole name is, but he's asked, he or she's asked, how's married life, Ben? Congratulations, by the way. Thank you very much. Married life is the same as what it was like before married life. It just comes with more debt now, because we've got to pay for the wedding. But yeah, no, it's fantastic. Thank you. And thank you for your congratulations. Mike, very quickly, 2 youngsters have signed professional contracts at Watford. Shaq Ford and also Aidan Manning have signed their first professional contracts with Watford. Great news for them, isn't it? And it'll be interesting to see if they're in and around the squad. Obviously, we're not expecting them to walk into the starting 11, but you're expecting them to fill places on the bench next season, really, aren't you?
Yeah, I really hope Shaq Ford gets a look in. I think Roy Hodgson singled him out and said, that he recalled him from a loan, didn't he? And said, I want him in and around the first team. But he made the bench, twice? Nothing really happened. So hopefully Shaq's going to be part of the plans this season. I can't proclaim to knowing too much about Aidan Manning. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with him. Possibly
I scored a cracking goal against Cardiff in the FA Youth Cup when they knocked him out. It was actually screamer. They showed it again today because he signed his contract today. So it's on the social media pages of Watford if you want to have a look. It's absolute belter. So have a look after the show, Mike. But yeah, don't know too much about him. I think he spent last season on loan at a couple of places. He might have been at Kings Langley as well with Ford. So he's gotten experience out on loan at men's football, which is important for his academy players.
Yeah, and whether he gets a loan to League One or League Two, that might be the best thing for him. If he has had a loan in the conference, then it might be best that he does have a loan. In
similar to Daniel Phillips at Gillingham last year.
Yeah, although we've released him because he got an absolute
he used to get sent off every 3-4 games, didn't he?
Yeah, I think the Neil Harris, the Gillingham boss, gave him a formal warning because of the amount of red cards and yellow cards he was picking up. So, and I can imagine what it's like to get a bollocking off Neil Harris, and I can imagine it wasn't very nice at all. But yeah, I really hope it works out for him, and I hope they're the first of many. We've talked about on the podcast before, since the Potsos have come in, bringing players through from the youth team has been a thing of the past. That's what we were known for before the Potsos, and some were good, some were crap, but we still did it, and it was good to have that. So they've said in one of Andrew French's interviews with Scott Duxbury that I think Jimmy Gilligan and Richard Johnson have highlighted 6 or 7 players that they believe will be making the jump over to first team and training with us. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come from our youth team. And we signed that young lad from Stockport under 23s as well.
Yeah,
He
Scott
follows us
Holden, I
on
think.
Twitter and Instagram as well.
Yeah,
So hopefully he's
he'll be
watching
our
now.
next guest.
If you are, hello. But yeah, hopefully it works out for him as well, because we've signed players to the under 23s before, and you think, oh, this is it. We're going to kickstart the gap, and then they just go.
We've seen it with the likes of Pochettino Jr., Burkamp Jr., Wise Jr., but they don't kick on.
We've signed Edu's son as well.
Yeah, it hasn't been officially announced yet, but there is talks of it, and it'd be interesting to see what this link between Watford and Arsenal is going to be, because it was mentioned in a Arteta news conference last season, wasn't it? I think so. He said he wants Watford and Arsenal to work closely, so I think he wants Watford to help develop Arsenal players, and then we'll send him back after a loan spell.
Edu is something to do with a director of football sort of role at Arsenal.
He was at the Elton John concert last night.
He was indeed, yeah. So he's obviously being neighbours at the training grounds helps in some form, and whether we strike up a little bit of a partnership, they send out their promising players. A bit like how we're expecting half of Man City's youth team to go over to Burnley now that Vincent Kompany's there. Yeah. Hopefully we can string up a sort of similar relationship with Arsenal.
Yeah, let's watch this space and see what happens. And very finally, last one, Mike. We'll keep it nice and short, but John Eustace, we was linked with him in the summer. We turned our attentions to Rob Elliott instead, but former Watford captain. He's the new manager of Birmingham City. Over the moon that he's actually made his first jump into professional management at a decent standard, at a championship at Birmingham City. But it's a shame that club's about to be taken over by Lawrence Bassini, isn't it, Mike?
I've warned my mates, and they're like, no, it's great that we're being taken over. I've said, okay, don't say I didn't warn you. It's a real tough one for me, this one is, because it's no secret to any of my mates, even the Birmingham City supporting ones, that I'm not really fond of Birmingham City. And to be honest, I'm not really fond of Aston Villa anymore. But yeah, I really want Eustace to do well. He's obviously linked back up with Troy. Troy was, new to the club when Eustace was there. And he's a real leader. I think he's just what Birmingham City need at the moment. Lee Bowyer didn't work out for him. He had a decent start for them in lockdown. They actually helped us out a couple of times. I think they drew with Swansea and they beat Reading. And back then we needed those to they were direct promotion threats. So they did us a favour at the time. But yeah, Eustace, I think he's someone that will get the best out of players. He's a leader. We know he's a leader. He won't take no shit from anyone. He'll really rally them together. And he knows Troy. I wouldn't be surprised. You ask any Birmingham City fan, and some Watford fans might be surprised. They might not be surprised. But you ask any Birmingham City fan how life has been with Troy Deeney, they thought it was all going to be a dream come true. But it's not worked out for Troy for whatever reason. I guarantee this season, it's going to happen anyway. He's going to score the winner against us twice. So they're already picking up 6 points. They might as well, when they publish the fresh league tables with the standings, stick Birmingham City on the top with 6 points and just put us goal difference on minus whatever, because they're going to beat us next season. Troy Deeney's going to score the winner in both games. But in all seriousness, Troy Deeney, Eustace will know how to get the best out of Troy. And yeah, who knows, they might do well next season. But yeah, Bassini is a bad man. So I've warned my mates, but they won't listen to me. So they'll just have to see it for themselves. But how he's been allowed, it's criminal by the EFL. How he's been allowed to even flirt with the idea of buying a football club, let alone the deadline. I think the takeover is going to be complete this Thursday. Someone was telling me earlier. But that's football for you, full of crooks.
Yeah, it really is. And just glad he's not in charge of our football club anymore. But it's a shame that he's, like you say, been allowed to purchase another football club. I thought EFL are meant to be there to overlook things and protect clubs, and they're really not in this case with Birmingham City. Joe Thomas has put a comment in, the man shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a football club. You can't help but feel for the Birmingham fans. And yeah, me and Mike echo. Well, Mike
maybe not the last bit, Joe, but the first bit, he shouldn't be allowed near a football club. But the last bit, I beg to differ.
But yeah, good to see you the other night, Joe, as well. Yeah, John concert. I'll stop for longer next time and grab a drink with you. And also Matt Wilson has also put up a comment saying, John Eustace or not, Lawrence Bassini, I feel sorry for Birmingham City. Enough said. It can't end well, can it? And like Mike says, I think it's going to be made official on Thursday. So yeah, feel sorry for Birmingham City fans. But yeah, that's it for our first episode back after our pre-season. It wasn't too bad tonight, Mike, was it? We didn't have to do any bleep tests or anything. We've just eased straight back in. We didn't do no ball work. It's been all right pre-season. Yeah. It's all right.
Yeah, it's been good. I was dreading what we were going to be put under in the pre-season podcast, but yeah, all good. Couple of beers, got through, and yeah, back on the pod. Like I said, the back end of last season. I'll hopefully be on it a lot more this coming season, and yeah, we've got some good stuff lined up hopefully, and yeah. I can't wait to get other podcasts back onto the pods, and we'll be appearing on theirs hopefully. So we're gonna put a poll out on Twitter soon to see what we can do to improve it and what you guys as the listeners want to hear more of, etc. So yeah, I'm looking forward to next season, Ben. I really cannot wait, and hopefully we're going to end next season with another drunken pod talking about us being promoted.
I remember that day. I listened to it back the other day, and I was giggling all the way through that. But yeah, like you say, this season will be good. We've got some really good things lined up, and I don't want to say too much into it. And I said to Mike, we're not going too much into depth with it, because I don't want to jinx things, and I'm superstitious. But touch wood, good things are lining up for us. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, we'll be back soon. I don't know when. We'll definitely be back for a preview of the Sheffield United game, which kicks off on Monday, the 1st of August. So we'll definitely be back for that. But whether we might be back before that, we're waiting for more signings so we can come back and talk about it. But yeah, thank you everyone who's joined in tonight and interacted with us and watched live. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like it. Drop your comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. And yeah, we'll be back soon. Stay safe, everyone, and come on, you Ords.